Okay, I really wasn't sure how I wanted to put this together, so what we're going to do is take some drone footage of the main dam here, um, and then we're going to go up and we're going to see the other two dams. There's actually three dams on this site. The main Austin Dam here. A couple hundred yards upstream you had the Crawford Dam, which was actually built by the town before this one, and then a half mile up the stream we have the Earthen Dam. So there's actually three dams on this site. Now, I got to walk around with Mr. Alvy Fortis. He is the man that took the film crew around for the Mysteries of the Abandoned. He wasn't completely satisfied with the way they told the story. I mean, they collapsed it into a 15-minute bit, which is the nature of the show to give you the synopsis. So he was really excited to be able to tell the full story here. So I add all of that into this video, kind of the other end of the story that wasn't told or that was a little misportrayed in Mysteries of the Abandoned. But we got to see a lot of little extra tidbits on the ground also that you can see if you visit here. So here we are heading upstream, and coming into view right now below us in the center of the screen, you can see the Crawford Dam. And we have ground footage of that, so we're not going to stop here. And I do a bit of the history of the dam in that ground footage, so I'm going to try not to repeat myself in this drone bit. But as we head up the creek here, you're going to see the Earthen Dam come into view right where we turn around. But a lot of extra tidbits about this site. And so after we're done the drone footage and our bit on the ground here, we're going to head down the stream to the paper mill, which is a mile south of the dam. We're going to do some ground footage of those buildings, and we have some drone footage of that as well. But right here you see the parking area off to the left. This is all that's left of the Earthen Dam. There's not a lot to see here. But a little bit more history on the dam. So in my sit down I mentioned that the dam ran into the 40s. I misspoke there. The dam was destroyed, or the paper mill was destroyed in the 1911 flood. They rebuilt it and it operated into the 1930s. That is when a fire took out the paper mill and they never rebuilt it. Then in 42, another flood took out the Crawford Dam, and so it was never rebuilt from that point forward. But what saved a ton of lives here was a madam named Cora Brooks. Her home sat on the hill above town right here by the dam. And so she, being a businesswoman, had a phone in her home, which was very rare at that time for people to have telephones. And so she was able to make a call to the switchboard in town when she saw the dam overflowing and give them a heads up. And that is what saved a lot of lives. In the end, 78 people did end up dying in this flood. But so I hope you enjoy this extra information, these extra little tidbits we have for you. And if you haven't subscribed, please do that now. And again, I hope you enjoy this video. Thanks for watching. And there it is, the Crawford Dam.
So to give you a little bit more history on this that you would not have seen on the Mysteries of the Abandoned show, we spoke with Alvy Fortis. He's actually the local that took the film crew around and gave them their information that they concised into a 15-minute special on Mysteries of the Abandoned on the History Channel. The show really painted the mill owner as a bad guy that came in and took advantage of locals and just cut corners at all costs to save $1 and was a greedy man. that actually isn't this true story. It was really a collective effort how this whole catastrophe happened. We're sitting right now on the Crawford Dam. This dam was built by the town in 1901. They wanted to get a paper mill in here for industry. When the logging industry had died off, they were looking for jobs. So they really enticed the mill owner to come to this area with this dam. When he got here and inspected the area, the dam wasn't near big enough. They need 4 million gallons of water a day for the paper mill to make it to the point that it could be productive and profitable. And a lot of the equipment at that time was also steam powered, so they needed even more water. So the town built this dam. He said, we need a bigger one. And so they got together, and in 1909, the town commissioned the bigger dam. That dam was completed in 1910, and it was in 1911 that it failed. When it failed, there was obviously a lot of, I think 78 people were killed in that. So before it had actually failed, they had seen where it was leaking, and they did those patches that I had talked about earlier, where I showed you the plugs that had popped out like, it was explained by an eyewitness that it popped out like a wine cork, and it was later that they had noticed the bow in the dam, and then it did finally burst. The main reason, again, because they didn't go down deep enough. The dam was supposed to be built with a 10-foot foundation. They essentially hit rock and just built the dam there, and so you can see where it pushed the earth out of the way as the amount of water flooded over it. So after that, they had built a log dam farther up the stream here, about a half a mile. So you had the log dam, then you had the Crawford Dam, then you had the main dam. So when the dam broke, the log dam did do its job and withheld some of that pressure so that it wasn't as bad as it could have been. So they ran off of the log dam and that up until 1942. The mill continued to operate up until the mid-40s. In 1942, there was torrential downpours in this part of PA. Smethport down the road, actually, as far as I know, still holds the Guinness World Records for the most rainfall within 4 hours. I believe it was something like 30 inches of rain they received. So that overwhelmed the dam again, but with the amount of rain they were already getting, it really wasn't noticeable how much more that was burdening the system. So the mill did run for several years after that, and then eventually there was a fire that took out the mill, and that was when it was essentially abandoned. So that's more of a complete history of the 3 separate dams that are on this site and how it came to be. So again, the local town enticed this mill worker to come in and build this and make this profitable and give them jobs. There was some other things going on where I'm sure there were tax breaks and things like that. And then he did feel horrible about the catastrophe, and he had built, I believe it was in the early 40s, or no, I'm sorry, I think it was 1922, he had built a town rec area, town hall, if you will, where there was bowling and dancing and things like that for the townspeople, and did get Citizen of the Year award for that. And so again, it wasn't just a greedy mill worker, it was a town that was desperate for jobs in an area where there was no industry. This mill worker already owned mills all over New York and upper PA, and so again, it was a collective effort. It wasn't just one greedy man's doing that created this catastrophe. So throughout my YouTube video, you'll see other little tidbits that we picked up from Mr. Fortis. So I hope you enjoy the history of the Austin Dam.
So I just got done speaking with Mr. Alvy Fortis. That's the man that actually informed the Mysteries of the Abandoned film crew on all the information you saw on that show. And he said they did a pretty good job of concising it, but he did give me more information that you will not see on that episode. So one of the main reasons the dam failed was because it wasn't anchored. It was supposed to go 10 foot down more into bedrock, and they stopped when they hit stone. Right here we can see how shallow it was. We're seeing the base of the dam right here. Now this section here got pushed back 50 feet, and you can see it just pushed all the dirt right out of the way. And then over here you can see, from this angle, you can really see how far off this section got pushed. And Mr. Ford was saying, this is the most interesting piece right here because it's the only piece that actually got pushed over. And you can see here this rebar that is bent where this big huge section of the dam was pushed over. Now I got a couple other little treats for you. So when the dam originally broke, they had, well, before it actually broke, I'm sorry, they had patched it. And some of those plugs popped out like a cork. So we're going to go check out some of those plugs now. So this section here, you can see the rebar sticking out of, is the plug that was in the top right corner of the dam over here. And witnesses said it popped out just like a cork as water started to overtake the dam. And there is one more plug that also popped out that we'll go check out. And this is right by the little shed they have set up for souvenirs and that. So if you walk down this path, you'll see this other slab of concrete. This is the other plug that came off of the dam. And this is much further away. So now let's go check out the wooden conduit, if you will, that actually carried the water from the dam to the paper mill. So now if you see right here, you can see a pipe that runs under the creek. That is actually a wooden pipe that was used to carry the water from the dam down to the mill. And so how it was formed is, again, it's made out of wood, and Mr. Fortis explained it was kind of like a barrel. There was like 12 different sections that were pieced together, and then they were held together by iron bands. And there's actually a spot where those bands are exposed, so we're going to go check that out next. And this just fished all the way down through this creek, all the way down to town. The mill is actually a mile south of the dam. So here you can kind of see the impression in the ground where the creek and the pipe come through. And then it leads up to right here, where the pipe would be exposed. And so here you can clearly see the iron bands that held the wooden pipe together. I thought that was really cool. And then again, the pipe just continues on down through the creek, down the valley there, to the mill. So now we're going to head down to the mill and check that out. And out of the weeds she emerges. All of this weed and scrub brush you see is everything that Mr. Fortis was saying is an invasive Asian weed that's taking over. And so you got to dig it out by the roots and get rid of it. But that's whole place is overgrown. And you can see that from the drone footage. It's also a lot of wetlands back in here. This was 3 stories tall. The 3rd floor has already collapsed. And so it is pretty dangerous. So you definitely want to be careful if you come walking in here. I wouldn't advise it. That's why I think the YouTube videos are even more helpful. If we take footage of different places, then not everybody else has to go there. Right here, for example, these holes that have collapsed in. I've heard rumors that that's a pretty good drop. And then there's a lot of water down in there. I'm not even going to get close to the edge. I don't know if you can see that or not. But yeah, so I am not going to be walking around inside of here. I mean, you can see everything right here anyhow. You don't need to walk around. I will carefully venture over to the one spot and see if we can get a shot of what's down in there. You can see everything's just collapsed down in there. Like I say, with this footage, it's hard to see. But when you look down in these holes, I can see there is a little light. And like I said, it's all water down in there. I don't know if you can, like I said, it's really hard to tell. And I don't want to get near the edges. Obviously, if it collapsed in from its own weight, my 200 pounds isn't going to help matters any. But here it is, the old paper mill. This is the main building. And I was able to get the drone up near that tower to show inside of there. Nothing fantastical there. But we would all be curious if I didn't look in it. So I risked the drone and got real close. So here we are on the other side of that main building. Looks like this is where staircase probably was. In the one corner that went up to the different levels. There might have been a little bell hanging there maybe. And here's the other section that we saw in the video that had those round pieces. I mean, even where we're standing here, we're kind of, it looks like we're on top of a foundation. Definitely a sketchy area to be adventuring around, so you definitely want to be careful. Yeah, this whole place, I think we're on top of a big foundation everywhere. I see all these random holes. Yeah, and that is a huge drop down in there. Yeah, and you can see all the water. There you can kind of see what I was talking about. Stay out there a second. Looks like that's all this is. It's all partitioned in different things. I'm not going to go walking all over. So there it is, the paper mill.
So, I don't want to sound like a complete wuss. I'm an adventurer as much as the next guy. But that building is sketchy as hell. The entire thing, you're walking on top of a basement, which I didn't realize until we got into the second half. And I could see down in the holes, and parts of it have already collapsed in on itself. It drops at least 10 feet down, and then it's filled with water. I would not advise going in there at all. You saw in the video what it is. Again, I'm not a wuss. I love adventure. And I'm going to say at this point, they should probably come in here and demo this thing out of public safety concern before kids come out here messing around and somebody falls in or gets really hurt. But so we got all the videos on drone, went through the main paper mill. I actually did get a shot inside the tower here. So hopefully you enjoyed that. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that now. Thanks a lot.
Now there isn't a lot to say in this last bit of video. What we're seeing in front of us here is the remains of the vault. And as we get some elevation here, you'll see a yellow sign down there, and that's all that says is that this was the vault to the paper mill. It's just a pile of ruins. That concrete cross is all that's really left. And as we pan north to the left here, the paper mill will come into view, and then also the tower. And I'm not sure what the tower was used for. I couldn't find a lot of information out about it. It's obviously a lookout tower of some sorts. Obviously not to keep an eye on the dam. But yeah, I mean, we do get some drone footage down inside there. Looks like some youth climb up in there from time to time, and I would not advise it. But this whole site is very, very wet. You see it's overgrown with that Asian brush, that weed. And as we pan up here, you're going to see the dam in the distance. And again, that's a mile up the stream here. And there you can see it off in the distance. And I actually could take the drone all the way up there, but I didn't want to waste minutes boring you taking a flight up there. So here we are doing a flyover of the whole site. We have the main paper mill, and then you have a building in between that has no roof left, and then the furnace is down there, and then the tower off to the right. There's the town in front of us there. So again, the building that's in between the furnaces and the main paper mill is already, the roof's already collapsed and everything else, and that was what I was walking around when I realized I was walking on top of a foundation. This was a delicate process. I already spent 1 or 2 drones realizing how fragile they are around twigs. So whenever there's trees around, you have to go extremely slow and careful and keep a visual on your drone. But I was able to get down next to the building here and get a glimpse inside there. And again, I think that's what's good about these YouTube videos. If everybody else sees that there's nothing in there, maybe it'll keep some kids from wanting to climb up in there to see for themselves. I mean, there is nothing in here. And there's nothing in the paper mill either. But again, I'm just as curious as the next guy, so at least now we have a safe alternative besides risking our lives climbing up. But yeah, this whole area all the way through here is, with the creek and everything, it's all swampy and wet, and the main path to get into the building is about the driest spot. And there where you see that really wet area on the top right, that was also another building, and there's absolutely nothing left except for one wall and the foundation. And then there was one small building next to the tower that there's nothing left of either, that couldn't tell what that was. And you see this building in front of us, half of that's already all collapsed in, and that's all swampy. And then I did get into the left part of the furnace building here, but I didn't go walking all around. Again, it's extremely sketchy, and the whole thing's built on top of a foundation that's collapsing in. I don't imagine there was anything too fantastical to see anyway, it's just the furnace room. But again, enjoy this little aerial footage here of the paper mill, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And someday when I get more experience and fancy, we'll put some nice mood music to the drone footage perhaps. So again, I really hope you found this informative and interesting, and thanks for watching.